Hello everyone, welcome to Alita Software Labs. The Lunar Gateway space station goes online. A Starship undocks heading towards the surface of the moon, and NASA Orion spacecraft has transported 4 astronauts from Earth to the Lunar space station. 2 have been transferred into the Starship as well as the Human Landing System. These are the first astronauts to begin working on building the first lunar base, making the beginning of the industrial age on the moon, an age which brings lunar dust shields, lava tube habitats, light bending towers, and the magnetic railroads, and human DNA is sent to storage vaults on the moon as an extinction backup. CUBE satellites orbit the moon scouting for lunar icy water vapor. Rovers are prospecting for different types of ice at the South Pole. Prime ice drills are deployed to harvest the ice from below the lunar surface. The ice is needed to make fuel, water, and oxygen. Other rovers explore and map nearby lava tubes with 3D LiDAR scanners. Testing begins on mixing the moon's loose oil, the regolith, and a plant-based glue to create a 3D printing material. The first Artemis habitation and life support modules are delivered to the lunar South Pole. One of the treaty is signed to preserve the culturally significant sites of the lunar history. The Tranquility Base and the first footprints are listed as historical sites are protected from nearby landings that would destroy the areas with lunar dust. And electrodynamic dust shield is built and begin testing a moving electrical field, like how air sticks to a balloon with a charge is used to repel lunar dust, protecting spacesuit, solar panels, and habitats. The Cosmic Starlink goes online, connecting the moon and the Gateway space station to Earth and to Mars. A new command center and telecommunication facility is seen being built. The construction phase of China and Russia's International Lunar Research Station, the ILRS, begins. Experiments to turn lunar regolith into living soil progresses. The crew at the Artemis Base Camp refuels an uncrewed launch vehicle with propellant manufactured on the moon, testing liftoff of the first vehicle powered by the rocket fuel. The Russian and Chinese ILRS program building their own lunar space station. The Deep Space Transport spaceship transports cargo and crew members to Mars' shuttles between lunar and Martian orbits. Maintenance happens in orbit around the moon's satellites. Send the first emergency solar flare. Evacuation warning, giving them time to seek cover inside the habitats. Lunar paraterraforming begins. Construction of large transparent dome serves as a greenhouse. It receives the same the lunar world house. Plants helps recycle organic human waste and convert CO2 into breathable oxygen. Crops are genetically modified to be more resistant to radiation and better suited to grow in low gravity. Plants are also farmed to create the 3D printing glue for construction, fueling the growing industrial age on the moon. The lunar bases begin to grow faster and faster. It takes 15 days for a cargo ship to sail from India to Australia. It only takes 3 days to reach the moon. 2 bases are now established at the south pole of the moon, the ILRS and the Artemis base. Of 20 countries now have a presence on the moon, from India and Mexico to Australia and Germany. 2 space stations orbit above these lunar space stations are transfer hubs. Rather than using large spacecraft which need heat shields and airbags to return back to Earth, small shuttle spacecraft are used to transport crew and cargo down to the surface of the moon. The crewed robotic science base, the International Lunar Research Station, is a downside settlement. Rovers patrol and prospect the lunar surface. The ILRS has established lunar-based astronomy and Earth observation capabilities, and biomedical experiments have begun at the Artemis base. Teams of scientists and explorers occupy the facility. Robotic rovers pour layers of hardened lunar soil onto inflatable dome shells. They get the nickname the Hobbit houses. The hardened soil protects the structures from micrometeors, and radiation work is underway to build the crater telescope, and a temporary shelter has been established within a lava tube. These underground tubes were formed when volcanic lava left large passageways underground suitable for the construction of protective shelters with stable temperatures. The 2 main bases are located at the South Pole nearby the Shackleton crater. The moon radiates on its axis every 27.3 days, and a day on the moon is 29.5 days on Earth. Away from the poles, areas experience a very long night, making a solar production on the whole. The sun is always on the horizon at the poles. Here there are permanent shadows in the craters. The low temperature in the shadows allow icy waters to survive. And at the poles and it is possible to maintain constant communication with Earth. Fuel production on the moon are now being used to refuel spacecraft on their way to Mars from Earth. There are even training facilities on the moon for Martian astronauts. The Neil Armstrong Terra Solar Farm goes online, making a milestone in the industrial age of the moon. An insect was found in the hydroponic greenhouse. Nobody knows where it comes from, but it looks like life always finds a way. University students begin deployments to the moon for funded research mission. Some robotics are now present on the moon. Micro rovers 8 by 4 centimeters, 3 by 1.5 inches in size have solar panels on board. The tiny robots navigate to each other and connect to form one large solar panel. They are used for setting up temporary mining outposts. SpaceX sent the first boring tunnel digger to be used for converting the lava tubes into permanent structures and habitats. The lunar mining mush. Lunar mining expanded territorial zones of national influences. Developed securing resources aluminium and titanium are mined along with rare earth metals such as neodymium and lanthanum. Companies rushed to mine isotope helium-3 used in fueling fusion power reactors on Earth and the Moon. It is not radioactive and it does not produce any dangerous nuclear waste. Solar flares have bombarded the lunar surface with helium-3, so large quantities are found without regulation. A winner-takes-all mentality has developed. Tensions begin to rise. Testing begins for the first asteroid into lunar orbit. The Lunar Crater Telescope goes online. It is 1 kilometer .6 miles and located on the dark side of the Moon. Using the Moon as a shield, the telescope is free from Earth's electrical noise and free from radio noise generated by the Sun. The Crater Telescope observed the cosmos, gathering data on the very early universe, a time before the first stars were born. A treaty is signed at the UN limiting the lunar mining activities on the dark side of the Moon to protect the views of the deep space. Travelers are staying in Earth View hotels. Brave explorers visit the dark side of the Moon. Staring out into the darkened city is the most unsettling experience of being alone. The first lunar jobs board goes online on Earth, seeking barkeepers, hoteliers, a musician and farmers. Training for moon-based living takes 2 months to complete. Trainers are aware the situation of lunar deployment. A space creole is starting to develop as humans live longer on the moon, and the Earth's culture mix and changes. This creates the first of world space-based culture, accent and language. Mirrors on top of light-bending towers bounce sunlight into the dark craters of the Moon, acting as mini suns. Solar arrays capture this reflected sunlight to power small outposts. These dark craters have not received sunlight for millions of years. Rockets are now being entirely 3D printed at the Moon at the Lunar Rocket Factory. Relativity Space are using the materials harvested from the Moon and from asteroids that have been redirected into lunar orbit. Humanity's lunar outpost has become a self-sustaining colony. Facilities are automated with robotics, needing human intervention, para-terraforming tombs, nuclear fusion facilities, mining robots, and access to materials on asteroids all allow humans to move from the lunar industrial age to the now information age, focusing their efforts on tourism, astronomical studies, scientific exploration, and sending humans further out into the solar system. Plans are underway to build the EDN, the Earth Defense Network, an autonomous detection and early warning system. Satellites placed in orbit around Earth and the Moon are equipped with phased array sensors and electromagnetic rail blasters capable of long-range monitoring and able to disintegrate small to medium-sized objects that are either natural or intelligent. Orbiting asteroids and space station factories dot the lunar sky. The float lunar railroad esperance across the Moon. Magnetic cargo robots levitate over a flexible, easy-to-deploy solar-powered track. The neodymium beam mined on the Moon used to make super magnets on Earth now becomes more valuable on lunar. The lunar laser station is now operational. Solar sail spacecraft that use the sunlight to push the sail are now laser-powered. Lasers target the sail, moving it forward through the space. A mega laser sail spacecraft sets off from Earth using ground-based lasers on Earth. And the Moon building begins on using the asteroids inserted into orbit around the Moon as platforms to construct lunar space elevators, removing the need for chemically rocket launches. Multiple connected telescopes go online to form the Dark Side Deep Space Observatory Network. It monitors and watches deep space activity. The FOAM, the Earth Legacy project, has been completed. Deep lava tubes on the moon shielded from solar radiation, meteorites and human activity have been converted into a number of extinction level vaults. Humanity's data and DNA are being sent for storage of planets. These vaults are storing and protecting the biological data and the entire knowledge of Earth and humanity. The lunar DNA vault stored the cryogenically frozen materials of Earth, 9 million plus species of crops, seeds, fungi and animals, and it also stores human DNA. The data vaults protects humanity's digital knowledge, AI programs, culture and history. If anything were happen on Earth, humanity will have the tools and knowledge stored the moon to rebuild.